My name is Kokunri, Koki for short, Erafona. I'm a professor of cultural anthropology from the University of Benin in Benin City in Nigeria. Benin objects that we now see in museums were not intended to be kept in galleries or the museums or for display, but they were a form of pictorial writing. And it endured until 1897 when they had the British expedition where these objects were looted. And so I see them as like history of the people, the history of the people. These objects, they tell about the past, recollecting the past of Benin. To record history in the past, this design came up in which the objects were either cast in bronze, molded, terracotta, carved in wood to represent an event or a personality, especially the royalty. To perpetuate it, they had the guild system, a system in which people were grouped in different professions. And they had about 14 craft guilds, arts and craft guilds. They produced objects for the palace, mostly for commemoration of events. 126 years ago, that's February 1897, these objects were taken away from the Benin Kingdom. Not just few objects, lots of objects, thousands of objects. And they got dispersed all around important museums globally. Seeing these objects now and knowing what they represented in the past, I see them now as a means of, like I mentioned earlier, recollecting the past, merely looking at the objects, and you are able to, with new evidence, you are able to reconstruct what exactly they represented, and it extends the frontier of the people's history, which it was originally meant to be. I'm so grateful for the opportunity to see the collections here at this museum. Though they are few, they are not like the British Museum where they have so many, but then I see them as very significant. They represent different categories of Benin objects. The looted categories that were taken out from Benin in 1897, also to those probably that may have been stolen in the art market and then found their way to the museum, and those legitimately acquired and legitimately belong to the museum. This is a decade of restitution of cultural objects. They were looted objects. And I believe that it's ethical for a form of restitution, repatriation to be done to the legal owners of this object. So these objects in Swiss museums, I am not advocating that everything should be returned, but there should be a kind of collaboration between the National Commission of Museums and Monuments in Nigeria. They are in charge of our objects, and the museums here. But then when we talk about restitution, the original owners of the objects, the original makers of the object, where did the objects come from? They came from the palace. So kind of like, I believe that the Swiss museums should also be dealing with the present monarch whose ancestor, the Obavorame of Benin in 1897, was forcefully removed from the throne, and the objects found in his palace belonging to generation past of his ancestors were taken away. So I believe there should be a collaboration, discussion, and I strongly feel that in this regard, Swiss museums should let the Nigerian museums take a lead They shouldn't instruct us on what they think is best. But then they should sit down on a table and discuss what is best for the objects, whether they are to be returned, whether they are going to go on loan, whether copies are going to be made. This should bring about a new season in museums where on both sides, the best should be done for the objects and the people.